Jerome Powell, AKA J, AKA Too Late. That nickname came from none other than the president himself. Too late for what? I don't know. But we'll find out. Jerome Powell is the chair of the Federal Reserve. If you're not familiar, the Federal Reserve is the central bank of America. As a central bank, it is a private entity independent of government. Entity independent. Okay, it's a private institution independent of the government. So we got some tension building. The president wants interest rates lower. You want lower rates so you can print that money. Print that money, meaning if the rates are lower, money's more accessible, money's cheaper. That encourages more borrowing for investing, and in result, that encourages the stock market to do its thing, baby. But the chair of the Federal Reserve is hesitant in lowering interest rates. Tension. President says drop them. Chair says nah. So what does that mean? Well, they've been having this whole beef going on. This has been developing for quite a while. Jerome, his term ends in May. It is January, and he has been put under investigation. And he put under investigation by the U.S. administration. The Fed's watching the Fed. This is how we're kicking off 2026. He's now under investigation. They said it was something about, using the money to make installments on the building, and it was an improper use of funds, something like that. But he puts out a statement saying that, hey man, this is all pettiness. This is really because I'm not lowering the interest rates the way the big boss want me to. And matter of fact, he's not even my boss. And so he is speaking on keeping central banks independent from governments. He puts out a statement. It's a video. And after putting out the statement, he gets support from central banks throughout the world. And they're like, yes, we're riding with Jerome on this because it is imperative. It is crucial and systemically important that central banks remain independent from government. All right, I keep saying that a lot. Why is that important? What does that mean? Okay. Central banks keeping their independence from government is significant because it stabilizes monetary policy. Okay? It stabilizes money and its value. Because if government directly influences and drives what central banks do, what could then end up happening is central banks become vulnerable to short-term promises and whims of governments trying to maintain power. And that could result in a lot of monetary instability. And that could result in a lot of hyperinflation. Or, monetary instability, that's just chaotic in itself. So let's use real world examples and what that might mean for you. So let's say government is trying to maintain power. We got an election coming up, and they say, let's lower the interest rates, baby. Let's print that money. And they're printing the money, and it pleases their constituents because their constituents are people of means, money people. So that money is being printed, it's being borrowed, it's being invested, and the market is soaring. Okay? Then they turn around and they say, hey, we raised the market, we did it again. We need your votes. We need your votes. And the people are like, yeah, man, money looking good. We're going to vote for it. Okay. But what could come of that is when the money is being printed and it's so easily accessible, the money is not as valuable. So now it requires more money to get the same things you were getting. Last year, everyone was complaining about the price of eggs. So let's use some hypothetical scenarios. Let's say eggs cost $5 a carton and interest rates get lowered. Now eggs cost $10 a carton. Okay? Interest rates get lowered, money's being printed into the system, there's more money available, so now it's not as valuable, so now you need to spend more money to get the same thing. So the egg carton went from $5 to $10. But here's the thing, this is the distinction between the markets and the economy. Because just because the price of things are going up doesn't necessarily mean your wages are going up. So eggs got more expensive, but you ain't got a raise. So you don't have a raise. Eggs are more expensive. Cost of living is now higher. The people that are in the markets, they're benefiting. Now look, I hope you're in the markets, so you'll be benefiting a little bit too. But the idea is there's a difference between having ostentatious amounts of money in the market versus just trying to build up a couple million for your retirement, right? Because you don't want to have to sell shares to buy eggs. That's a whole other conversation in itself. But the idea is it is levels to asset ownership in this game. And so I hope you own assets. I hope you're in the markets. I hope you have things going on for you. And you will experience that bump, in your asset value. But your cost of living, if monetary policy is not stable and it just keeps fluctuating, man, it could get out of hand. And, we could see hyperinflation as a result of that. So they say, let's lower the interest rates. Money's getting printed. Votes are getting got. Terms are being won. And they say, all right, let's raise up the interest rates. It's getting money too. The dollar too cheap now. The dollar almost worth. Let's go and raise the rates up again. And now, price of eggs was $10. We're gonna be like, okay, everyone, interest rates are higher. Let's bring the price of eggs back down. Maybe that would be ideal, right? We see that happen with real estate, actually. Interest rates get lower, so the mortgages kind of balloon up in price. Interest rates gets higher, and then the mortgages should, in theory, come down in price a bit. But we're starting to see where that is not always the case. And so with these fluctuations going, prices could keep going up, things could get more expensive, prices can continue to keep going up. It gets chaotic. And that's why central banks exist. Their primary purpose is to maintain monetary stability. And look, this is on a global scale, but even in just the US, we're talking about maintaining the value of the dollar. If we're playing with interest rates, man, listen, and we got bricks cooking something in the background, as a dollar holder myself, it's almost like, gotta pay attention. I know some of y'all might be typing in the comments, silver, gold. I hear you. I hear you. But man, I bring all this up just to say it's only January. But look, we're not gonna doom and gloom around here, right? Still position yourself in the market. Typical portfolio index investing, hold for the long term. Because throughout all the drama and stuff, for the most part, it tends to figure itself out. If we look at the economic data, we had the 99.com bubble crash happen in 1999 to 199 into the 2000. Okay, recovered. Then we had the 2008 market crash, came off the housing bubble, and then it recovered. And there was a substantial dip during COVID at the beginning, like 2021, 2022, and it recovers. So, you know, holding for the long term. I went from 99 to 2000, 2008. I'm talking a couple of decades now. Holding for the long term. In theory, it's supposed to be all good if we're just talking about retirement investing. But if you're trying to brave the waters, expose yourself to a little bit more risk for some more gains, then yeah, these things are going to be worth paying attention to. So if you found this valuable, if you learned about, the significance of what's going on between the power struggle, central banks and governments, if you just found value in this, man, if you just pulled me up to say, let me hear this guy talk in the background while I wash dishes, at least it's more, informational and hopefully entertaining or whatever. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, drop some comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what I might be missing. And until the next time, it's been the Hall Street Index. I'm D Hall. Y'all take care.